Hey everybody. So first let me apologize for the video quality. Very rarely, if ever, have posted to YouTube. And I just wanted to tonight to talk about this little motor. But it's on my phone. If I decide to do more videos, I'll get a GoPro or something. But for right now, just bear with me. So what this is a little military motor. It's a 4AO32. 4 meaning 4-cylinder, A air-cooled, 032 is 32 cubic inch. It's 500 and something cc total, but it's a cool little motor. The military used them for running generator sets, water pumps, things like of that nature. But like I said, it's a 4-cylinder, horizontally opposed, flat 4. It's actually really similar to an aircraft engine, a small aircraft engine, so like a Cessna, something like that. And it makes sense because it was designed by Continental, the aircraft engine maker. And this one in particular was built by Teledyne, which I can get you in here and show you that. So Teledyne, which if I'm not mistaken, Teledyne was actually bought out by Continental at one point. So it's also really similar to a VW motor, just in the sense that it's air-cooled and flat 4. But they've got a heavy-duty all-weather ignition system on them, magneto, of course. But just a really cool little engine, and you can pick them up right now really cheap. I got this one for, I think, $600, and it came in the case, in the wooden crate that it was packaged in. It had been pickled since 1993, I believe. And from what I can tell, it looks like it was put together, it did a break-in run, and then pickled, put in a box, put on a shelf, and that was it until I bought it, 6-8 months ago, whatever it was. But I've been working on this one, doing a few things, and one of the reasons I wanted to make this video, this terrible quality video, is there's not much information out there about these. The military government turned loose a whole bunch of them fairly recently, in the last few years, that kind of liquidated stockpiles, and there's just not, as far as I know, there's one website that's a military surplus store somewhere up north that kind of specializes in these, but I've emailed them and they don't respond. Their selection of inventory is really poor. Saturn Surplus, I believe. I'm not trying to slander them or anything. Check them out. Maybe they've gotten better, but anyway, so what I've done here is just tinkering around, really. But first off, so aside from my engine stand setup, I'll go over that in a minute. These motors don't come with most of them don't come with a starter. They're made for a 24-volt starter that's made specifically for this engine. Those are many hundreds of dollars if you can find one, and then you've got to figure out a 24-volt system to run it. I didn't want to do that. So what they come with, as you can see here, most people don't know what this is or see it anymore. You take a rope, tie a knot in it, hook it in here, wrap it around, and you pull start it. It works pretty well. It's just a pain in the ass. So what this is a starter off of a mid-90s BMW 3 Series. If anybody really wants to know the part number, I can put it in the comments later. And it bolts right up, except the starter flange itself. You have to take and drill both of these holes out with a, well, actually, I only drilled the top one. A lot of things I've seen online says you have to drill both. I only drilled one. I drilled the top hole out with a 1/2-inch bit, bolted up the bottom, and then that 1/2 inch gave me just enough wiggle room to adjust the gear mesh, and it works fine. It meshed up just perfect. No issues at all. Other thing I did, took the stock, the exhaust manifolds that came on it, which one of them is still intact. It's over here. So this is what came on it. It was up here. You can see that. And so basically the exhaust gases came out of the head straight into a 90-degree bend, and that's just not a good design if you're trying to make any sort of power. So I just cut these off, tack welded on some little extensions, and that's that. Now, if you know anything about these engines, probably what you're wondering about is what in the world is going on up here. So the carburetor that comes on this, an intake manifold, the whole setup, which is over here. Excuse the mess. So this is the intake manifold factory, and then the carburetor's in there somewhere, but it's a really, really bad, well, it's a good design for a generator, I guess, because the carburetor was made to run at, either idle or like 2600 RPM for days at a time, running a generator out in the field. So it's for what it was designed for. It worked fine. I ran it that way. It ran perfectly well, but it didn't really want to rev, and was just not good. So when I was trying to figure out a new carburetor situation, I really couldn't find one that I liked for a 600cc engine that would just be a single unit. So I went a little overboard, and these are I couldn't even tell you what millimeter they are. That's how cheap they are. They're the $15 off of Amazon little carburetors. They're good for anything from like a 70cc up to a 125, I think. So if you do the math, each cylinder is about 110, 115 cc. So I got 4 of these. And yes, these are PVC. I know. Like, save the comments. I get it. This is rough draft, first mock-up, proof of concept. I know what it is. So made this bracketry, this little base plate, these little adapter, whatever you want to call them here, and then took the original intake manifold pieces here and just cut them off, reshaped them a little bit, used some tubing, PVC, mounted these up, and they're secure, so they're not going anywhere yet. And then made this little rail system up here for the throttles. Eventually these 2 cables will come together through some sort of linkage magic here. So when this pulls down, it'll actuate the throttles, and if you can see, sorry, shadow, bad lighting, it's night, but actuate all 4 carbs at the same time. So it actually does work surprisingly well. It runs good, and that's one of the fun things about these little motors. Being a flat 4, this thing is so smooth. I mean, even on my janky little thrown together 2x4 and plywood engine stand I got set up here, it doesn't try to move, walk, anything. It just sits there and runs, which I'll prove here in just a second. Make sure I'm not missing anything. So what I've got set up here, just fuel can, little Edelbrock lift pump going up, and then branching off to the carbs. Got a little battery I stole out of one of my jet skis, and then hooked it up. I got the fuel pump switch, and then just a lawnmower key to the relay, to the starter, And I've left, this is the original on-off switch for these because it doesn't have a charging system. Like I said, it didn't come with a starter. It's not made to charge a battery. So this just kills the power to the ignition. I wanted to leave that in case I needed to crank it without, you know, firing the spark plugs for whatever reason. I like to have options. So anyway, that is about all the detail I got for you. Let's start it up, hear it run a little bit, and then I'll cut this off and put everybody out of their misery. So ignition's on, fuel pump's on, and this might get a little shaky if I have to do because I got to do the throttles up here. So bear with me. I'll give them a couple of pumps, see if it fires. It's trying. Nothing. Couple little pumps in the carb and it fires right off. So another thing I did, I took the governor off. That's why I can rev better now. And that's it. It's a really cool little motor, man. I'm, I guess, kind of smitten with it because I'm an aircraft guy. I'm an A&P mechanic. Been an aviator my whole life, so it's just really cool to me. But now I'm kind of stuck. I don't know what to do with it. I'm kind of thinking, you know, a cool little hopped up go-kart, something like that. The problem I'm running into is output wise, I'm going to have to get or make a flange that bolts up here that comes off and has a output shaft, probably a 1-inch keyed shaft, something like that. But I think this thing is well north of 20 horsepower. It's the military rated it at 6 horsepower. But if you look into that, it's rated at 6 horsepower at like 2,500 RPM at 10,000 feet elevation. So that's a continuous load running a generator high up in the mountains horsepower rating. I would be willing to bet I'm probably closer to 45 or so ish, maybe. So trying to figure out a transmission situation, because a 40 series torque converter really is only good. I mean, they're rated up to like, I think 18 horse. I mean, you could probably get away with like 25 or so before you start shredding belts and they're just become useless. I don't know. I've got an idea for getting like 4 40 series, put them on a common shaft, and try to split the load, make something like that. I don't know. Y'all let me know what you think. Throw something in the comments. If you got any specific questions, throw them down there, and I'll try to answer what I can. Anyway, I hope this has helped somebody, because when I first got this and got online and tried to figure out what to do with it, or what needed to happen with it, there's just nothing out there. It's a dry hole for these motors, and it's a shame because they're really, really cool, and I think they'd be fun in a number of applications. So anyway, I'm not going to hit you with that like and subscribe stuff, because I think this is probably the second or third video I've ever put on YouTube, so I wouldn't bother. But I'll try to check the comments if I think about it. So ask away, and I'll do my best for you. Appreciate your time.